Good morning. I'm Brian and I'm wearing a red polo and he is.
Tyler, I'm no longer wearing a jacket.
And oddly enough, your shirt is.
Still pink.
It is still pink. You say, that's odd. It is. We do this to give you the illusion that we don't record everything in one studio session. Mm-hmm. And by studio, what we mean is Tyler's iPhone, my camera stand, and my office. That's our studio. Usually. And in our studio audience, we have Little Lou Diamond, our Marine Corps bear from an Army base. We have the Joker. We have Chewbacca. We have Megatron and the Baroness. And a Cobra Hiss Tank. But the Hiss Tank isn't a spectator. Mm-hmm. We got a Texas Longhorn. We've got Ronald Reagan with us.
You can never forget Grogu.
We can never forget Grogu. I would say Grogu for last.
Well, of course.
We have two variations of Cody Rhodes from a different elite wrestling era. We have a Storm Shadow and a Snake Eyes. And, oops, we got another Megatron.
And oops, who else we have another one of?
Oh, wait, no, we've got a Optimus Prime, a Cobra Commander, another Texas Bull, and sure enough, dressed in Christmas clothing, because Christmas is a very big holiday in the post-galactic empire galaxy that's a long time ago and far, far away.
There you go.
With little baby Yoda, whose name we did not learn until the second season, as Grogu. So, you say, what does that have to do with the Bible passage? What does any of that have to do with our Bible passage?
Absolutely nothing.
That's right. But now, any of you who are wondering, what are all these stuffed animals and toys behind Brian and Tyler?
We enjoy decorating Brian's office, okay? Leave us alone.
That's right. And we also have Roadblock and the second Optimus Prime. So actually we have two Optimuses and two Megatrons. And we have Panther, who was Skeletor's battle cat from the TV show He-Man years ago. So it's a lot of fun. And someone turned my Lego dude around. That's rather interesting. We will have to turn him back the correct way. Oh, and back here's a stormtrooper. See? Hi, I'm a stormtrooper. Right? He's got the Lego hands. He is our gun-free model. He can't shoot anything. This is our anti-Second Amendment stormtrooper.
So, he's already Second Amendment anyways because he can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Well, yes, all stormtroopers should have been anti-gun, yeah, because they never hit anything. Except, the walls. But with that, on a more serious note, we do find ourselves with Jesus before Pilate in Mark chapter 15, verse 15 through 21. Tyler?
So Pilate, wanting to gratify the crowd, released Barabbas to them, and he delivered Jesus, after he had scourged him, to be crucified. And the soldiers led him away into the hall called Praetorium, and they called together the whole garrison. And they clothed him with purple, and they twisted a crown of thorns, put it on his head, and began to salute him. Hail, King of the Jews! Then they struck him on the head with a reed, and spat on him. And bowing the knee, they worshipped him. And when they had mocked him, they took the purple off him, put his own clothes on him, and led him out to crucify him. Then they compelled a certain man, Simon a Cyrenian, the father of Alexander and Rufus, as he was coming out of the country and passing by, to bear his cross.
All right, and we believe that this is the father of Alexander and Rufus. It's mentioned in the book of Acts. Not Acts, but Romans. There we go. Mm-hmm. But it's an interesting thing, just as Pilate had him scourged to be crucified. So they took him away, they scourged him. And, we had some levity, but we began to move into just the simple fact, scourging. And I don't know if you ever heard lessons, that Jesus only received, 39 lashes or something. And I always thought when I heard a preacher go, You the ancient Jewish law said you could receive 40 lashes, but they always did it -1 in case someone had a different count, so that you never went over 39. Because if you accidentally did 41, you got 40 lashes yourself. And they beat Jesus with 40 lashes. Well, that would be true.
It would have been the Israelites.
Yeah, if it had been the Israelites, the Hebrews, the Jews, who did the whipping.
But it wasn't.
But it wasn't. You say, well, how many times was Jesus beaten?
We don't know.
That's the correct answer. We don't know. The Old Testament tells us that by the time he gets to the cross, you can number his bones. So how much flesh had been peeled back in the scourging, how much tissue torn. And we don't really talk about this, but, as you've learned in martial arts, if someone stretches your arm and then hits you in the ribs right there, man, it gets hard to breathe for a minute. Imagine if those muscles have been flayed open and now you can't even really contract your lungs. Because the muscles on the outside of the ribs, they also have a function in compression and expansion, not just the diaphragm. And so, a lot going on here. They clothed him with purple. Some people have argued about this, and they're like, where would he have gotten purple? Okay. Do you know the history of purple in ancient times?
It was the symbol of royalty, right?
Okay. It was, and what woman in Scripture do we know of?
Lydia, right?
Yeah, Lydia. So when we think of purple, we think of only the color purple. But there was a little bit of variation within that. The trade unions of Thyatira, which is in Revelation, which is where Lydia was from. She was in Philippi when Paul teaches her the gospel. You had to actually have a special license to be a seller or dealer in purple, because it was a more controlled substance in the ancient world than even narcotics. But once a garment, say like Pilate's garment, had reached a certain point, that's what everybody thinks. Well, it must have just been an old one that, they discarded. But did you know, like centurions and other high-ranking army officers, they had a variation of gradient that would have still been classed as what was called purple. Purple, some of the darker crimson colors are very much more purple than they are red. And so we figure that's actually probably what it was a garment of a centurion or a legate that was in the troop area that, some of the junior enlisted were like, yeah, go get it. And you say, I can't believe they do that. Anyone who believes that they wouldn't have done that has never been in the military. If the colonel's gone and he's gone and you can drive his Jeep around and someone else pretend they're a colonel, guys do that kind of stuff. They do. And I always kind of figured that's where they got this purple from. And then you have the crown of thorns. It never says they took it off of him. It says they took the robe off of him. But they never took the crown of thorns off. So that means every time he pushes back on the cross, etc., this crown of thorns digs into him while he's on the cross. And as he goes through this process of bleeding out, understand this, he shed more blood before he got to Calvary than he shed on Calvary. What's the theological significance of that, Tyler? Or do you want to hold it till tomorrow?
Let's hold it till tomorrow.
All right.
I know we've definitely gone over time today.
We have gone over time, but tomorrow we will not explain everything in the office. But, Tyler might pan and show you the desk light. So with that, I'm Brian Reagan. This is
Tyler Kelly.
Have a great day.